How could the time machine malfunction? Unexpectedly traveled to the world of Naruto. Chakra. How could I possibly have a chakra? Chakra is not at all scientific. I want to use wonderful props from the 22nd century to explore my own world in this chaotic world. Chapter 1. The Biggest Man, C. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Mr. Yang Payan, may I ask if you would like to participate in this performance? Mr. Yang Payan. Which active actress do you most want to collaborate with? What do you think of Hokage colorful flowers? At the age of 18, Yang Payan, a man who has been at his peak since his debut, has just come out of the hotel gym to wash his hair and hasn't had time to blow dry it yet. I was surrounded by a group of young and beautiful female journalists who truly understood Yang Payan's urinary habits. Last time a group of male paparazzi surrounded him, he was beaten to the ground by this newly grown boy alone. Even one of the middle-aged uncles had his kidney stones shattered with a punch from Yang Payan. For this reason, this paparazzi uncle's thanked that you letter even made headlines at the time. Yang Payan teased his pitch-black hair with boredom, and the fragrance of shampoo droplets spread on the faces of these female journalists. None of them are willing to admit that they have secretly observed the works in which Yang Payan appeared in the middle of the night, a shocking position, strong and just right muscles, the face of a masterful craftsmanship, his wheat-colored skin is emitting male hormones. Especially about his guy, even the biggest brother from an African tribe who watched, that's all in comparison. The world's largest man. Yang Payan, in the crowd, there was one wearing sunglasses, a duckbill cap, and a thick white mask, which looked out of place, but because all the attention was focused on Yang Payan alone, the suspicious man was holding Yang Payan's support sign but did not lift it high. Instead, he placed it underneath, facing the skirts of the girls. Yang Payan saw the mystery at a glance. Hey! Sneaking frenzy. If I'm not mistaken, you're currently using the classic 22nd century SM family's Little Beam panoramic camera. All eyes followed Yang Payan's gaze on this suspicious man. There is indeed an inconspicuous circular object sticking to the support card, and above this lens is the skirt bottom of a girl wearing JK. The girl blushed with embarrassment and anger as a result. Aren't you ashamed? It's already the 22nd century. And you're using such a scumbag. You're insulting magical props. Yang Payan raised the criminal with one hand in front of everyone, and the trembling appearance of the lifted criminal made many girls around laugh. The flash surrounded Yang Payan with a thumping sound. Hey, there's no clause in the contract for you publicly assaulting me. The man still wore a mask, his eyes red, and he stared at Yang Payan intently. According to the agreement, Yang Payan stuffed 10,000 yuan into the other party. Seeing that the other party was dissatisfied, he took out a few more 100 yuan bills from his wallet. Get out of here. The masked man gave up when he saw that Yang Payan was not good at speaking, and originally wanted to put down 2 harsh words, but thinking about the other person's brute force, I swallowed it and quietly left. Yang Payan leisurely took out a stone hat from his underwear crotch and slowly put it on his head. By the way, why did you pull out your pants? The mystery lies in Yang Payan's underwear being a 4-dimensional space bag. A second brother who is too big can't fit ordinary underwear, but magical props can solve all problems. The dividends of the times. Yang Payan walked towards her own home. No one noticed this shining man all the way. He faced his own door and said, "Identity recognition is in progress." The door opened in response. Doraemon is occupying the living room and I don't know when he will bring in a set of fitness equipment. This sweaty green mechanical mouse is trying to push a barbell that is the same weight as itself. 10. 11. Yang Payan picked up a glass of chilled mulberry juice from the nanny robot, known as the sister.in.law, beautiful sister.in.law. The sister.in.law, who was originally going to clean up, immediately turned her blushing face when she saw instructions from her owner. He respectfully bowed to Yang Payan. Sister-in-law, remember to add goji berries to my drink next time. I really need them, Yang Payan deliberately said to Doraemon. I'll give you a tooth, I'll kill you with a plant. Doraemon threw the barbell directly to the ground. Although he was angry, he didn't forget to stroke the long beard around his nose. Yang Peiyan smiled and remained silent. Did you collaborate with San Shang Yuya this time? Doraemon was very angry. Day and night, Doraemon watched the body of his goddess in bed, excitedly ordered her new work, but unexpectedly saw the figure of Yang Peiyan. Damn it. Why not me? Doraemon asked, did you really go in? Consciously, I went in, Yang Peiyan said thoughtfully. This metal mouse took out a small air cannon from its pocket and bombarded his close friend from childhood to adulthood. Yang Peiyan quickly hugged his head and resisted a high-density air shell, shaking his hands unconscious. Yang Peiyan, who struggled for a long time, was defeated by Doraemon. He quickly raised the white flag and surrendered. I'll give up. I'll give you the money. Doraemon heard the other party say he wanted to pay, and immediately changed his smiling face. Yang Peiyan was about to take out his wallet, but ended up empty-handed. Did my wallet get stolen? How could it be? If it weren't for that masked man stealing it. Yang Peiyan was shocked. Doraemon doesn't believe this kind of rhetoric. Yang Peiyan, who had fled, jumped into the wardrobe and disappeared without a trace. Why would it disappear in the wardrobe? Unlike the Xiong's room, Yang Peiyan's time machine entrance is on the inner wall of the wardrobe. This is no longer Yang Peiyan's intention to use the time machine to violate regulations and determine that his wallet has been stolen. He plans to wear a stone hat and go back an hour ago to catch the thief who stole the wallet. Doraemon Ingjie saw his brother escape into the time machine and immediately followed Yang Peiyan. In his impression, Yang Peiyan has been acting impulsively since kindergarten and is often overwhelmed by the heat and blood. Although Doraemon curses profusely, but I am very concerned about Yang Peiyan, whom I have watched grow up with since childhood. You're a little shorter than me when we first met. Doraemon would occasionally lament to Yang Peiyan, even though it was a stirring moment, but Yang Peiyan would reply to him, now you're not as big as my second brother. Yang Peiyan could feel his buttocks being scraped by Doraemon, and his agile skills were just a stroke away. Sitting on the time machine in a coherent flip, the time tunnel was instantly illuminated, with colorful hues shining like soap bubbles in the sunlight. Yang Peiyan pulled the lever and said, let's go. Yang Peiyan looked at Doraemon's angry mouse face and said, I will definitely give you the money when I come back later. As the machine started, Doraemon's face turned into a remnant. Yang Peiyan manipulated the time machine to accelerate, and after a sensation of pushing back, the originally narrow tunnel suddenly became wider, surrounded by bright purple light. System alarm, there is a spatiotemporal turbulence, and the use of the time machine is prohibited during this time period. Yang Peiyan grabbed the joystick and cursed, why didn't you meow? Who told me at first? Time machine smiled and said, you didn't ask me either. The strange purple space gradually turned into a dark red flame, and the space seemed to be pounded by waves. The sudden sense of pressure did not crush Yang Peiyan. He grabbed the lever with all his strength and accelerated the turn to the left. Perhaps we can find a way out of the chaos. Alarm, overload, shutdown reminder. Yang Peiyan's heart is racing with thousands of horses, and in such an environment, he is about to turn into a flat boat. The machine he was driving stopped and floated in front of the red space giant waves. Done. Chapter 2. Within the territory of the Kingdom of Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the chaos of time and space, he was the only one at a loss, and in despair, the roar of machines could be heard from afar. Is this rescue coming? Is that you? Doraemon. Yang Peiyan's first reaction was that Doraemon, the pursuer of money, had arrived. After all, at this critical moment of road closure, Yang Peiyan, just a strange person, would rush into the chaos of time and space, listening to the sound. This time machine is heading towards this place. Its position should be higher than Yang Peiyan's current position. He can only see the bottom of the machine. The driver of the time machine hesitated when she heard someone's voice, and then quickly lowered her height. Yang Peiyan realized that the other person was not a familiar metal mouse, but a little girl with a pair of ponytails. At first, the little girl didn't take it seriously, but when she fixed her eyes on Yang Peiyan's face, immediately, a surprised expression appeared on her face, with a hint of crimson, possibly reflecting the turbulence of time and space. Yang, Teacher Yang. Yang Peiyan was also surprised, just like her, that such a child, who looked just like middle school, could mature so early. Looking at this pair of ponytails, Yang Peiyan was lost in thought, and the little girl's head was just above his chest. I can't think so much now, start the machine quickly. Yang Peiyan shouted. The little girl was still curious and staring at Yang Peiyan, but she panicked when she saw the fiery red space approaching. When it was supposed to shift in reverse, it drove straight forward and plunged into the turbulence of time and space. Yang Peiyan was instantly engulfed by turbulent space, with countless twisted entrances to time and space displayed before his eyes. The female driver harmed me. Yang Peiyan said his last words in this world. This mission is really troublesome, said a man in the dark, who was light and agile, and came here to fetch water. Although his mouth roasted, his eyes were still alert, but one person would fall down in the night. Yang Peiyan fell from high in mid-air, his consciousness blurred, and he fell to the ground without any cushioning. I completely lost consciousness for a moment. When he woke up again, he didn't know how long it had been, and everything around him was pitch black. The gloomy deep forest was right beside him, and Yang Peiyan could hear the sound of flowing water beside him. Why is the back soft and a bit sticky? Yang Peiyan looked at the bright moon in the sky and touched her clothes. This stainless steel, dark silver, tight-fitting suit is a scientific product of the future 22nd century, which can cushion accidental impacts and automatically adjust the temperature. Yang Peiyan patted the muscles on her chest. If it were an ordinary person, even if you wear this clothing and fall from such a high altitude, it is highly likely that you will still suffer a lifelong disability. Yang Peiyan thought of this and got up to stretch his body. Only then did I realize that I had fallen and hit someone. This person seems to have died so much that he can no longer die, and his body has undergone severe deformation due to a sudden impact. Yang Peiyan's heart pounded as an accident like the turbulence of time and space directly led to the death of an unknown person in the world. He also doesn't feel well, so he silently recited, I hope you can be reborn, preferably with a powerful system. Amen/Amitabha Buddha. Yang Peiyan vaguely felt something was wrong again, and under the moonlight, he carefully scrutinized the innocent passers-by. The attire of passers-by may not seem modern, but it also does not belong to the clothing that existed in Yang Peiyan's historical cognition. It's quite similar to the attire in a certain antique manga I've read, Naruto. Yang Peiyan came to his conclusion and asked why. Yang Peiyan took a forehead guard from a passerby, and the symbol on it was a note. So is it Inin? I didn't expect to come to the world of Hokage. Yang Peiyan couldn't help but cheer in the wilderness. So where am I now? What time is it now? Yang Peiyan looked disdainful as he searched the ninja and directly removed the heavy hemp rope from his waist. It seems that this ninja may still have some strength in Inin. Yang Peiyan looked up at the sky, unsure of how high he had fallen from, capable of smashing such a strong ninja to death. He is holding a scroll, the content above is limited. Yang Peiyan glanced at it a few times and then combined it with the plot of her own Hokage manga to speculate. I didn't expect this person to be a squad leader. Their current task is just to guard the border of the Fire Kingdom. Is it possible that I am currently in the middle of the ninja exam? Yang Peiyan nodded unconsciously as he looked at the scroll. To be on the safe side, he took out a replacement camera from his underwear. A set of identical Inin ninja clothes was copied. He helped his hemp rope belt and said, this is really a trend. No wonder Sasuke has to turn his back on the dark. Keep up. The voice of a stranger came from the grass, sounding like he was rushing towards Yang Peiyan. In just that moment, 3 figures appeared in front of Yang Peiyan. Chapter 3. First Encounter of the Enemy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Peiyan stayed in place, still unable to see the identities of these 3 shadows clearly. The other party quickly spread and surrounded him with lightning speed, preventing Yang Peiyan from escaping. Under the moonlight, Yang Peiyan saw that the other party was also wearing a forehead protector, which was a symbol of the wooden leaf. If I had seen Muyi in comics before, I would have had a good impression. But now Yang Peiyan is very anxious when he sees this sign. Why do you have to accept sanctions even if you haven't done anything yet? I'm not your enemy. Yang Peiyan shouted, raising his hands and spreading his palms, indicating that he had no weapons in his hands. Unexpectedly, these Konoha ninjas felt like he was about to seal and launch an attack. A few bitter nothings flew towards Yang Pain, a gust of wind piercing through Yang Pain's palm, a few more directly hit Yang Pain's vital points, causing him to fall to the ground with a piercing sensation. I have to pretend to be dead. I never expected ninjas to be so powerful, compared to ordinary people. Yang Pain is undoubtedly powerful, but in this ninja world, he is just a relatively strong ordinary person, and it is not a problem for ninjas to use chakras to jump 20.30 meters. In Xia Ren's eyes, Yang Pain's attacks now may seem like slow movements. Yang Pain's joyful energy just now has been completely extinguished, and it is now difficult to survive here. The ninjas couldn't stand up from the sound and didn't approach directly. Has he died? One of the ninjas asked. Following that, several painless individuals smashed at Yang Pain because they were wearing precious clothes. He was not in life-threatening condition, but unfortunately, the opponent's throwing power was astonishing, and Yang Pain felt like he had taken a few dull punches. The pain made it difficult to catch my breath. Do you want to no longer use detonating symbols to explode? Suggested another ninja. Now Yang Pain can't hold on anymore. If her head is blown off, wouldn't it still be difficult to save by immortals? I'm fine. Yang Pain shouted. He didn't care if he had a bitter nothingness in his hand, but still raised his hand with a harmless expression on his face. I didn't expect Yang Pain, who had a hot temper, to have such a fate. If you don't fight for it again, you will definitely die. Yang Pain thought about all the props in her underwear before she died. There is no plan to deal with these three ninjas in front of me at once. If this continues, I will definitely be blown into pieces. Yang Pain had no choice but to stand up and pretend to be dead. An idea flashed by quickly. I'm not a fighter. I'm a medical ninja. The three Konoha ninjas around him also looked at each other, and Yang Pain saw that the eyes of the two people he could see were behind him. The squad leader is undoubtedly right behind him. Yang Pain stretched out her arms to avoid making the other person think she was going to seal. The scene fell into silence, and this brief time will determine Yang Pain's life. Of course, if they are determined to kill Yang Pain, he can only start a trapped animal battle. He began to evaluate all the weapons he had in his heart. Captain Ghost Head. The ninja in front of Yang Pain suddenly shouted out. Yang Pain almost burst out laughing when she heard the person behind her called a ghost. The ninja who shouted out didn't seem to want to spare Yang Pain, their eyes full of murderous intent. The ghost spoke behind Yang Pain, but it turned out to be a girl. Take him back and be a prisoner. Two other ninjas approached Yang Pain and searched every inch of his body, up and down. The red-eyed ninja grabbed Yang Pain's crotch and turned his head in shame. The ghost still stood in the blind spot behind Yang Pain and said indifferently, "You can show off your medical ninjutsu now." Chapter 4. Medical Talents. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Pain still had a black painless hand in his hand, which didn't hurt much at first. Until now, he only feels a burning pain in his heart. Medical ninjutsu. I don't know how to use chakra. How can we deceive now? Excuse me, could it be convenient for you? Yang Pain asked his own needs. Urgent urination cannot unleash my genius ninjutsu, he added. The ghost head remained silent behind, but Yang Pain guessed that she nodded silently, because the red-eyed ninja's hands were like pliers, gripping Yang Pain's arm and saying, "Let's go. I'll take you to relieve it." Looking at his expression, he was actually saying, "Don't think you'll have a chance to escape." Yang Pain nodded helplessly. At night in the forest, there are occasional strange bird calls in the darkness, some of which sound like the crying of a baby. Two people found a big tree. Don't you let go. Yang Pain was about to untie his pants, and the ninjas beside him were still gripping him. Me. I don't look at you, Mr. Kiba. Move quickly. Otherwise, you'll just wet your pants. Yang Pain reached into her pants and rummaged through them. The ninjas beside them glanced at each other with a sideways glance. What are you doing? Yang Pain was speechless for a moment. Word is very big, we need to pull it out first. Yang Pain hid the magical item he had just searched for in his palm, took out his second brother, and began to take action. At night, due to the sudden drop in temperature, a large amount of mist immediately rose from the urine. The Konoha ninja frowned for fear of being touched by the mist. The ninja secretly glanced at Yang Peien's second brother and suppressed his shocked expression, whistling at an unknown leaf. After the end, Yang Peien saw a tall ghost head standing in front. At this moment, there was also a lying corpse beside her, which looked like the Konoha ninja who had just sacrificed. Yang Peien finally understood why the red-eyed ninja had such a strong killing intent on him. Originally, these ninjas may have had an encounter battle with Yin Yin's ninja team. It seems that the team of the Inin ninjas who were smashed to death is highly likely to have been completely destroyed. Yang Peien is grateful that he was able to surrender early. These Konoha ninjas are definitely not average in strength. Yang Peien looked at the deceased Konoha ninja and suddenly shouted, "Wait!" At this moment, all eyes were fixed on this handsome Inin medical ninja. The ghost had already tightly tied its long hair back, and her gaze saw the hand held high by Yang Peien. I don't know when, but the hand that was pierced by pain was still intact, without any scars left. Yang Peien approached the motionless ninja. Is this companion already out of breath? The red-eyed ninja was about to kick Yang Peien's back of the head in an instant, but was stopped by the ghost head loudly. Of course we can determine whether a person has died or not. The ghost's tone was somewhat contemptuous, but Yang Peien suppressed the fire's airway and said, "He still has a weak pulse." Pinching the neck of the corpse, the neck, which was already cold, could not have a pulse, but still told this great lie. The red-eyed ninja who was supposed to hit Yang Peien burst into laughter and said, "I don't want you to insult my brother. He has already gone. You sound so messy. Do you dare to bet?" Yang Peien looked proud. "What's the bet?" "Fate." The other person's voice was a bit excited. "If it weren't for the captain's intervention, he would have wanted to kill this prisoner long ago," Yang Peien said. "Just gamble your life, whoever loses will become the other party's slave." Red Eyes was about to agree, but he was interrupted by a ghost, who vaguely felt that the prisoner was not that simple. "Captain, don't worry about my gambling game, it's not within the scope of the mission. Inin, bet on it. If you can't save him, I'll execute you on the spot." The red-eyed ninja took out a blank scroll and wrote a bet agreement, stamping a blood mark on it. "Are you still alive?" The red-eyed ninja is already thinking about Yang Peien's way of death. Cough, cough, cough. A fierce cough came from the deceased ninja. Chapter 5. Rebirth from the Dead. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What? How could it be? Apart from the red-eyed ninja, the ghost also grew its mouth, and the teammate who died in front of it sat up. Yang Peien's front foot was still in a gambling agreement, but his back foot cured this person. Gue too remembers that this Inin ninja was just touching the body with one hand. How could it possibly resurrect someone? The eyes of a red-eyed ninja become even redder due to staying up late and being excited. Is it really you? The ninja who had just woken up immediately stood up and bounced open Yang Peien's forehead protector. Feeling the spot where he had just been pierced, he remembered that he seemed to have fainted and had a lot of blood burst out before. "There are black and brown bloodstains on the vest on my body. Now there is no discomfort in my whole body. Who the hell are you?" The ghost looked at Yang Peien with a smile on his face. Now the Konoha ninjas have returned to the four-person team, and these few people all realize that their team has captured treasure. Although it was just a C-level escort mission, who would have expected to encounter such a sneaky group of Inin ninjas on the return journey, the ghost thought, looking at the entire ninja world. "I have never heard of a ninja with such medical ninjutsu skills, even Lord Tsunade, one of the three ninjas. In Konoha, encountering this handsome young voice in front of me, I couldn't help but sigh with joy." The ghost wanted to say something, but was stunned and froze in place. Yang Peien's hands were tied to a thin hemp rope, but fortunately, he was quick-witted and stuffed the time bundle skin hidden in his palms back into his pants. He saw the ghost still eagerly staring at him, but for Yang Peien, who has experienced so many fierce battles on set, there is no concern at all. He poked his hand into his pants and pretended to scratch, which made the ghost feel shy. Yang Peien couldn't help but raise an eyebrow at the only female ninja on the scene. The ninja who just woke up saw Yang Peien behave like this, and a wave of anger rushed into his forehead from his confidant. He faced Yang Peien, who was standing with his hands just tied up. Yang Peiyan was shocked. With just such a simple kick, he kicked himself into the air and even shifted backwards. Thanks to the red-eyed ninja hugging him in time, it prevented further harm. The red-eyed ninja, for some unknown reason, admired Yang Peiyan from the bottom of his heart and said, "What are you doing?" Kishimoto. Yang Peiyan was shocked. This ninja has the same surname as the author. This Enin kid just teased the captain. Are you blind? Kishimoto's voice trembled slightly. The captain didn't say anything. Red Eyes glanced at another teammate. This ninja remained silent from beginning to end. Yang Peiyan coughed twice and said, "Not bad, red-eyed. I know the protector now. I'm not Red Eyes, I'm..." Yang Peiyan mercilessly interrupted his subordinates. "So we're in the fire country now." He was clearly a prisoner of Konoha, but now he has turned the tables and directly integrated into this Konoha team. There are still 3 days' walk from my village here, and the Ghost Head team quickly traverses through the forest. At first, Yang Peiyan saw the Ghost Head jump up to the treetop and his face was shocked. His red eyes saw Yang Peiyan's expression, which was unfamiliar with the world. I was also surprised to think that this medical genius was completely disabled in terms of physical skills. Thinking in his heart that he could snatch back the scroll of the gambling agreement, he slipped Yang Peiyan's Enin belt. Taking prisoners with them also made a leap. Yang Peiyan claims to be strong, but never thought he would be carried away like a child. He is truly unwilling to accept it. "Hey, Red Eyes, why are you jumping so far?" The ninja unconsciously accepted this nickname. He smiled. An Enin ninja was indeed an unremarkable ninja village. Basic concepts like this are not clear. It seems that I just encountered this group of sneaky people, just an accident. Red Eye thought of this and began to introduce the effects of chakra aggregation training. Yang Peiyan followed the guidance of Red Eye and tried to guide the energy in her body. He doubted that he, as a person from another world, would be able to work hard and never have chakra at all. However, he just gave it a try. A magical power unexpectedly emerged from the body. Chapter 6. Go to the village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Before dawn, the whole team was hiding in their respective corners to rest, and Yang Peiyan's hands were still tightly tied. Red-Eye crouched beside him and yawned. Yang Peiyan couldn't believe that he could jump onto a tree branch 4 or 5 meters high without any props. A warm current flows from the body to the feet, and the compressed feeling is like a spring installed in a calf. Red Eyes jumped onto the opposite treetop, flipping their bodies upside down while their soles remained pressed against the bottom of the trunk. Although Yang Peiyan has seen such an operation in Naruto, he was still amazed to see it with his own eyes. Imagine chakra being a suction cup, or something like that. Yang Peiyan can really violate the laws of physics and fall on a tree. It just feels like his face is a bit congested. I said, "Red Eyes, can you help me untie this?" Yang Peiyan gestured for the rope in his hand. "You won't run away, will you?" "As your master, I promise I won't make you difficult." Yang Peiyan really doesn't have much confidence in running away. Even though he can jump back and forth between tree trunks now, he's not very skilled. He jumped onto a distant tree trunk, untied his waistband, and this time it was really a simple relief. Red Eyes didn't come up this time to embarrass him. Maybe I can still use ninjutsu, Yang Peiyan muttered to himself. His hand reached into his pants, but he touched a pointed face. "Long time no see, Xiaoyang. We haven't calculated the account for Sanshang Yuya yet. Where is the money you promised me?" Yang Peiyan saw the familiar face and heard the sharp voice. Doraemon's head protruded from his crotch. "How long have you been hiding from me? Stinky kid, if it weren't for my ingenuity, I would have crawled through our shared 4-dimensional space bag and found you." Yang Peiyan was both surprised and delighted to see her good brother in the world of Hokage. Can he not be excited? How can you not get lost in 4-dimensional space? Yang Peiyan asked her own question. Doraemon couldn't help but laugh and said, "You're a big bird, I saw it from a distance." In other words, Yang Peiyan can also return to his own world from space with Doraemon. Two worlds cross each other. By the way, where the hell are you? The lights are dark. Doraemon grabbed Yang Peiyan's pants and pushed them out. I almost stepped on it and fell under the tree, but was quickly caught by Yang Peiyan. What are you doing when he meows climbing trees in the middle of the night? It's difficult to sort out all sorts of things, Yang Peiyan summarized in one sentence. We are now in the world of Hokage. Hokage. That antique ninja manga. Doraemon had some impressions. Yang Peiyan was indeed addicted to this comic book a long time ago, but Doraemon just looked at the cover. In Doraemon's view, the so-called ninjas are the dregs of the times, let alone a fictional ninja work. Yang Peiyan's series of explanations actually explained Doraemon's doubts in his heart. Alright, all the problems have been solved now. I still have TV programs to watch, so I'll go back first. After speaking, Doraemon Ingjie slipped into the pocket on his belly and disappeared out of thin air. Yang Peiyan cursed inwardly, thinking that the dead mouse probably booked some adult-oriented programs in such a hurry. Such colored mice are also rare. Red Eyes jumped over and said, I heard something just now. You're not using any tricks, are you? Yang Peiyan shook his head and was about to deny when he realized that someone had pulled on his second brother. Doraemon crawled out of Yang Peiyan's crotch and looked at the Konoha ninja in the face. This strange creature with red eyes was the first time I had seen it, and I couldn't help but scream in surprise. For a moment, all the sleeping ninjas pulled out their weapons and prepared for battle. Enemy attack. There was also a silver saliva mark on the ghost's face. In the shadow, an elderly ninja jumped out and said, I truly deserve to be a Konoha ninja. I was so hidden that I was discovered. Chapter 7. Escape. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After killing Inin's team of ninjas, do you think you can fully retreat? The hunched old man hung from the tree. The scene looks very eerie. He is wearing old oversized headphones and his eyes are burning, scanning everyone in the darkness. As the old man raised one hand, the surroundings suddenly lit up with flames, and there were symbols of notes on the earphones. Sure enough, is it a pursuer? The ghost looked at the encirclement formed by dozens of ninjas around it. I used to control you in your sleep, but now I can only beat you half to death. Yang Peiyan looked at the old man with a kind face and never expected that his words were quite malicious, but in order to survive, Yang Peiyan raised a hand and said, I'm not from Konoha. The old man looked at Yang Peiyan's face and then at his forehead protector. You look so handsome. I don't remember a handsome Inin young man, he said. Save this handsome guy's life and send him to my room. Yang Peiyan's chrysanthemums suddenly tightened. Doraemon beside him couldn't help but burst into laughter, and the nearby Inin ninjas suddenly said, what an ugly spiritual beast. Doraemon remained silent and silently took out an air cannon from his pocket. Placing it in his hand, Yang Peiyan turned his head to look at the ghost. At first, in the darkness, Yang Peiyan's impression of her was only that of a tall female ninja. Now with so many flames coming, he could just take a closer look at the appearance of these Konoha ninjas. Yang Peiyan is 1.8 meters tall, which is considered a moderate height, but due to her strong and broad body, she can easily hold her head down when standing face to face with others. The ghost also noticed Yang Peiyan's stern gaze, and the two of them looked at each other. She thought to herself, I can't believe this ninja is still so calm now. It seems like they are still trying to escape countermeasures. Yang Peiyan discovered that the tallest one in this team was actually the ghost head. When they looked at each other, they could feel that the ghost head was as tall as him. At this moment, she stood with her head erect, her delicate features clearly visible, and her thin lips tightly pursed. Yang Peiyan slammed Doraemon hard and whispered, take a closer look at the female ninja. Who does she look like? Coincidentally, the ghost looked at Yang Peiyan and his spirit beast biting their ears and said, great, he came up with a solution. She smiled and looked at the little mouse that turned its head to look at her. Doraemon's eyes were fixed on Doraemon, and he returned from his wandering journey. 3, teacher. Don't you think this is fate? Yang Peiyan smiled faintly, leave everything to me. Doraemon swore, this is what Yang Peiyan wanted, and when he succeeded, he smiled and retreated. Captain Ghosthead, Yang Peiyan whispered softly, lend me some smoke bombs. Yang Peiyan planned to use Doraemon as bait to attract firepower, and as soon as the smoke grenade was thrown out, they collectively retreated. The plan is feasible, but we have to sacrifice this spiritual beast. The ghost felt a bit sad in his heart, but in order to complete the task, he returned to the village, so I'm about to start. Yang Peiyan lit a smoke bomb. Please wait a moment, I don't know your names yet. My name is Yang Peiyan, and he is Doraemon. A large cloud of smoke instantly shrouded the forest, and Yang Peiyan could hear the sound of Doraemon firing. It sounds like several een were hit and fell to the ground, and the ghost had already disappeared. The entire team of Kiba broke through in different directions. Yang Peiyan's face was covered in tears from the smoke, and he focused on Chakra jumping hard on his feet, directly collided with a tree trunk, then flipped over to the ground. Doraemon, due to his metallic body, the ninja's throwing of suffering is ineffective against him. There are many ninjas on the ground who have been hit by air cannons. Yang Peiyan is foolish. Why must he run away with his feet? He quickly pulled out his crotch, still in that familiar position. Bamboo Dragonfly. The activated Bamboo Dragonfly blew a whirlwind centered around Yang Peiyan, and the smoke turned into a spiral shape. The old man was still hiding in the dark, thinking to himself. What a powerful wind escape technique, I have never seen it before. Yang Peiyan soared at lightning speed, with a sea of forests under his feet. I believe he would not be attacked by ninjas here. He was planning to fly away, but hearing the sound of battle below, Yang Peiyan gritted his teeth and said, Doraemon. I'm here. Chapter 8. Death in Action. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Peiyan held a sword in his hand and quickly sank down, and knocked out een ninja hung on the treetop, and Yang Peiyan also took his ninja bag along the way. A painless beam flew towards him at lightning speed. Of course, Yang Peiyan couldn't feel it, but his electric light signal blocked him at the fastest speed. Ding dang. Then, like rain, darts rushed towards Yang Peiyan. He was so frightened that he closed his eyes tightly. With his flowing sword skills, some darts fell to the ground in response, while others were brought back by the blade of the electric light signal to the ninja who was ambushed. The enemy fell to the ground in response and sighed before losing consciousness. There are still such masters in the world. The forest was unusually quiet, and Yang Peiyan dared not loudly call out the names of his companions. At this time, there must also be some een ninjas hiding in the dark. Doraemon stood on the open ground panting heavily. Originally, custom-made clothes also looked tattered due to battles. Yang Peiyan was overjoyed. It turned out that the air cannon was sufficient to stand in the world of ninjas. After all, there were no high requirements for combat effectiveness. The leading old man had already fled, and Yang Peiyan finally felt at ease. Praising Doraemon's bravery, Yang Peiyan saw that Doraemon didn't respond and thought to himself, it must be my fault for running away just now. Doraemon, haven't I come back now? I didn't expect you to be so skilled, ha ha ha. Doraemon's face remained expressionless. Raise the air cannon, bang. This is not a joke. Usually, when two people play around, Doraemon always sets the power of the air cannon to the lowest level. Now it is undoubtedly the highest power shell hitting Yang Peiyan's abdominal cavity. He flew up a tree with a heavy blow, but unfortunately, he hung on a tree trunk and couldn't move his whole body. The pain made him speechless. The old man held an iron pot and rubbed his palms inside repeatedly. This is my secret technique, voice control. I can use my weapon to emit the same frequency as your heart, charming your mind, and also kill invisibly. You useless people. So many young people are not as useful as an old man like me. You should all give up your youth to me. The old man was carrying a een ninja, and he could see that the ninja was also injured by an air cannon and could not move. The old man quickly stroked his pot, and the entire pot was vibrating rapidly, making it look like the preparation time was quite long. The young ninja began to scream in pain, and the old man helped him to kneel with his face down. Place a tile jar on the ground. This scene looks like an old man playing with a toy. It's over soon, no pain at all, Shan Jingjun. The old man gently patted the ninja, like an elder who cared about him. The een ninja named Shan Jing began to vomit loudly, and the blood-red liquid filled the clay jar, ending in an instant. I saw Shan Jing's face turn as white as paper, and her pupils lose their radiance. Yang Peiyan only then discovered that there was already a pile of people dressed in een around him. And the old man threw the previous scene of Shan Jing at the top of the pile. Who else is there next? The old man looked at Yang Peiyan. The old man approached Yang Peiyan lightly and easily dragged him to the designated position. An empty earthen jar was placed in front of him, then prepare to start donating the fresh blood from your heart. The old man quickly rubbed the ninja pot in his hand. Yang Peiyan felt an indescribable restlessness all over her body for a moment, her heart beating rapidly, and a wave of nausea and numbness filled her whole body. He began to vomit a large amount of bright red liquid into the clay jar, and according to this amount of bleeding, Yang Peiyan's consciousness gradually blurred, and the original pain gradually dissipated, but instead there was a feeling of floating. It's over, I'm going to die. In this inexplicable world, he looked at Doraemon standing not far away with an indifferent expression, and his vision fell into darkness. Chapter 9. Egg-throwing record. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Doraemon's brain was buzzing, and he occasionally felt a piercing pain, as if he had just woken up after a hangover. What caught the eye was Yang Peiyan, whose mouth was covered in blood. His eyes had become blurred, and the old man with a twisted expression was fiercely pressing Yang Peiyan's head. Doraemon stood still, incredulous at this scene. He was clearly still fighting just now. How could it be that Yang Peiyan had already escaped since the start of the war? The old man was also surprised to see Doraemon. Yoho, you're still the first person to break free from my control on your own. Why don't you be my spiritual beast? Anyway, speaking, when the old man mentioned Yang Peiyan, it seemed that there was only a trace of wandering energy left until death. Yang Peiyan coughed and a circle of blood flowed out of her lips. Damn it, don't waste my medication. The old man slapped Yang Peiyan hard in the face. Yang Peiyan had no emotional response. Doraemon roared and launched an attack on the old man, but for some reason, he couldn't hit the opponent. He lost his balance while walking forward and fell directly to the ground. Damn it. Yang! Wake up! Yang Peiyan listened very insincerely and would not respond to Doraemon again. The old man saw how loyal this spirit beast was, which further aroused his possessiveness. I saw his withered palm take out a painless, sharp blade slowly penetrate Yang Peiyan's neck. Yang Peiyan gradually lost his pupils. Doraemon only felt like he was dreaming and wouldn't believe what had happened. He just buried his face in the soil. A voice of someone speaking came in my ear. I won't die so easily, Doraemon, put your ears on. The sound in the darkness was made by Yang Peiyan. Yang Peiyan, who had already passed away in the old man's hand, turned into nothing with a poop. Is this shadow clone? The old man was shocked. The old man used a pot to force Yang Peiyan, who was hiding in the darkness, but the other person remained completely unmoved. Even Doraemon found that his body miraculously regained a sense of balance after putting on his ears. Stinky old cockroach. Doraemon shouted, although he couldn't hear it himself. He saw the expression on the old man's face. The old man's expression of eating dog poop must have understood the malice of Doraemon's words. The old man sneered, Grandpa has come to teach you a lesson, little beast. Seeing that his pot had lost its effectiveness, the old man first threw out a batch of darts. Doraemon was in a panic, half flashing and half using an air cannon to counteract, but there was also one hit on him. The old man quickly engaged in a close combat, grabbing the air cannon in Doraemon's hand and taking it down. Because I don't know how to use it, I throw it back. Doraemon lost his weapon and angrily punched the old man on the nose, with the momentum of indiscriminate punching and killing the teacher Fu. The old man panicked and defended, causing a lot of blood to gush out from his nose. After adapting to Doraemon's single attack, the Ini ninja began to fiercely counterattack. For a moment, Doraemon was beaten and retreated step by step. He fiercely raised a colleague's leg. The majestic force kicked between the old man's legs from bottom to top, and the old man sneered. For the sake of youth, I have long lost it. Doraemon was greatly surprised. It's your turn, little beast. The old man followed suit with a gusty flick of his leg, and Doraemon couldn't dodge. The rocks crumble and the mountains tremble. Doraemon lost his combat ability, and the old man was satisfied with his painful expression. He lowered his head to look at this mouse. I saw a head growing on the stomach of this mouse, and its face looked very familiar. It's Yang Peiyan. Chapter 10. Letting Your Life Revenge 1. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. How could it be? How could a psychic beast summon a cursor with psychic spells? The old man couldn't believe it, but the elderly ninja, who had experienced countless battles, quickly adjusted their state and retreated to prevent Yang Peiyan from using any sinister moves. Yang Peiyan also suddenly remembered that he could use a four-dimensional space bag to launch a surprise attack from Doraemon's bag. I just crawled out of my pocket and coincidentally, I heard the sound of Doraemon's eggs shattering. He maintained his shocked expression and was actually laughing wildly in his heart. Don't worry, brother. I'll treat your injury now. The old man watched as Yang Peiyan perfunctorily made a few clumsy marks, and saw him cover Doraemon's crotch with one hand. That's 3 seconds. Doraemon's painful expression was fleeting. The elderly were also shocked by this young man's extraordinary medical skills. He changed his mind and insisted on bringing this young man back to Inin village. Based on his experience, this kind of medical ninjutsu, it is very likely that the other party has mastered some unknown bloodline boundary. If we bring it back to Lord Orochimaru for further research, wouldn't it be a great achievement? The elderly are now the second in command of Inin village, and they may have more dead soldiers in the future, become the leader of Inin in one fell swoop, unify the ninja realm. The old man couldn't help but smile at the thought of this. Doraemon and Yang Peiyan both felt disgusted as they watched the sleazy old man smirk foolishly. Two of you. I am the village chief of Inren, and In is my real name. I am now willing to admit that you have joined our Inren village. The old man looked at the hidden forehead on Yang Peiyan's head and thought to himself, throwing an olive branch now, this person must be grateful. Sure enough, Yang Peiyan bowed to the old man and said, Lord Ining. In fact, only the leaders of the 5 major ninja villages deserve the title of Shadow. Nowadays, this kind of flattery is very useful for the elderly. Yang Peiyan approached Ining Lord with his electric light number, and a hint of murderous intent seeped out of his smile. Young man, put away your weapons. Yang Peiyan seemed to be about to withdraw his sword, but Doraemon Ingjie quickly activated his shock gun. The old man with quick eyes and hands raised an iron pot to block the attack. Yang Peiyan stepped forward and stabbed the earphones worn by the old man, causing him to show a painful expression. A gust of wind blew by, and the faint and sparse sounds in the forest seemed to torment the old man's eardrums. His hearing is very sensitive. Yang Peiyan shouted. The old man painfully threw his pot onto Doraemon's face. After being hit, the metal mouse fell to the ground in response. You're not Lord Ining, but you must be Captain Inin. Yang Peiyan smiled. He held up his flashlight and engaged in dozens of rounds of close combat with the old man. The old man quickly leaped over several trees several times, and Yang Peiyan gradually adapted to Chakra's control and followed closely behind. The two of them kept a 2-step distance, constantly attacking and defending, and sparks splattered from 2 weapons. Yang Peiyan thought to herself, if I had used an ordinary knife, the old man would have killed me long ago. The old man suppressed his pain and became even more afraid of the young man's unfathomable strength. He now began to worry that it would be terrible if he encountered other Konoha ninjas to support him. Yang Peiyan held onto the electric signal tightly, gathered all his strength, and prepared to perform a miracle with great force. The electric signal has already started a red light warning. If this blow doesn't work, I'll be dead. Yang Peiyan charges up to the top. This node is not stretched. A loud noise came from the buttocks. The old man closed his eyes in pain, and Yang Peiyan swung fiercely at the target's neck amidst the lightning and fire. Win or lose.